Hello, welcome back to the Abstract Thinking
I
Podcast.
almost said Matt's Monday morning podcast.
Dude, I listened to number 38, the one that we kept saying was bad a few days ago, and I literally was laughing. Like, it was entertaining and engaging. Like, we make good podcasts. We just need like marketing or whatever.
Yeah.
We just need to get them out there. But anyways,
Podcast?
that's what you thought of that?
Yeah.
It was just like it kind of dragged on a little bit.
Yeah.
And we started talking we started playing Fuck, Marry, Kill with people we know in real life. And then Casey called us. And then for some reason I told her that's what we were doing. I don't know what I was thinking, but
That's funny.
um
But what are we talking about today, Matt?
well, this week is kind of a continuation of last week's episode where we talked about Karl Marx and his ideas about
Just flawed ideas.
like, capitalism and socialism and economics and ideas that have kind of lasted through the ages and are still being expressed today. So
Yeah, idiotic people.
hey, chill out.
I'm gonna constantly make fun of socialism, mainly because I think it's a bad idea.
That is the role of a libertarian capitalist, of course, to make fun of socialism.
Because it's a bad idea.
I think it just all depends on like how it's implemented, but
I think any way it is implemented, it's flawed.
what if there was like a society of like straight up by the book anarcho-communism though? Where it's like we are all literally like hippies in a commune and we all live together and we all like prosper together and everybody like kind of, it's like a little autonomous pocket of society. How would you feel about that?
A hippie commune?
Yeah, like that's basically what it is, right? That's what anarcho-communism describes. Kind of.
Yeah. The problem with the anarcho-communism is it lacks government. It lacks sustainability.
But is that a problem?
Yes, because
especially if those people can't sustain themselves without a state body. It's just like
then it would have to be very small, like I've said.
Right. But even if it is,
like a town-sized hippie commune,
or even smaller than that.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I think like a town-sized hippie commune that was under an anarcho-communist style, like governing, would, I guess, work. Though there would still have to be like a basic set of rules.
Yeah.
Like a set of like commandments, basically.
Kind of like guidelines of living.
Yeah. Like you can't straight up murder somebody.
Right. Which, I mean, anarchism is kind of different from anarchy, but I think that's totally for another episode. So last episode, if you want to go back, if you missed it, we talked about debt and credit and the problem of inflation, kind of. Did we talk about that?
I don't know.
No, we talked about inherent contradictions in both
capitalism and socialism.
Yeah. And we got into,
I feel like socialism's inherent contradictions are a lot worse than capitalism's inherent contradictions, because like the problem with socialism versus capitalism in that case is that capitalism can still survive with its inherent contradictions, communism can't. Like, because communism's inherent contradictions lead to its downfall. Capitalism can survive through.
But only by creating more internal contradictions. Like, I grant you that, yes, capitalism as a system is really, really great at sustaining itself.
Whereas communism isn't so much.
I mean, historically, yeah, you have a point.
Like, anarcho-communism, the problem with anarcho-communism is that it lacks sustainability, right? But the problem with totalitarian communism is that it's over-sustained to the point where it's tyrannical.
And not even sustained, really, because like Soviet Union collapsed, and that's like the biggest example of totalitarian communism that historically has happened.
And I mean, the only reason China hasn't collapsed is because of like all of the businesses.
Well, the communist system in China collapsed and it's been replaced by like state socialism
and totalitarianism.
The totalitarian part lived on though. Like it's been since then. Like, don't criticize the government, don't speak out like that. There isn't free speech in China. But anyways, I have more notes.
Shoot.
Uh,
Fire away.
So there's this. Let me get in camera. There's this idea or this statement that people who advocate for the capitalist system that we have today sort of argue this argument that capitalism works because it produces higher wages. But that is actually an alibi for outsourcing that arose when wages were rising in the places where capitalism was born. But the wave didn't include the rest of the world. Okay, so what this leads to is these countries that where capitalism rose and like stayed strong, they just take advantage of those countries where it didn't. That's
Well,
how that seems to be to me.
The reason why I did that though is because, like, if you're going to have any real economic system, it has to, and you want it to like sustain through other countries, it has to be an international economy, right?
Yeah,
it has to be,
which is what we have now.
It has to be an internationally agreed upon economy, right? When that was happening, and when the building blocks of the capitalistic society we had today were like coming together, and while the ones where the countries where it survived were feeding off the countries where it didn't, was because we didn't have an international capitalistic society yet. So once you introduce that international capitalism, that where everybody agrees upon the specific type of capitalism we have, basically what would happen is that those countries where the capitalism did prosper and did survive would not only not feed off of these smaller societies, they would fuel these other societies' capitalisms. Because these other smaller societies where the capitalism didn't really survive, the reason that was is because basically the way the economic system works is that these smaller countries like supply, so the bigger countries can create, the bigger economies can create and sell, right? And the same thing happens with the way the states work nowadays. Like if you look at it, like business states with a lot more business and a lot more factory-based business would get all of their supply out of state.
Yeah.
So, like for example, like let's say New Hampshire was a very industrial, strong economy business state, and Maine was like an agriculture state.
Right.
The reason why New Hampshire would be prospering so much is because they'd be buying all these supplies to create what they're creating from Maine.
Yeah.
And that's basically what happened with the international economy, where with like a not yet set up international economy, was that these smaller countries that were supposed to be the supply countries, and the countries that were supposed to be like the creating and selling countries of today, basically what happened was since there wasn't an international capitalism set up yet, these bigger countries would need more of a supply than the smaller countries could sustain at the time. So their economies would just fall apart because since they couldn't sustain the supply and demand, that the bigger countries would just give up on them.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems to me like it's this,
and they'd stop buying from them, and their economies would collapse.
This note is kind of a condemnation of international capitalist like exploitation of one country to another. Like, well, basically what it's describing is, okay, there's a country where like people are destitute still. Capitalism isn't like there's no prevailing like ideology.
And that's the thing. When you have this international capitalism, right? The bigger countries realize that either we have a couple choices we can choose from. We can do what we used to and just give up on this one, try to find a bigger, smaller society to supply what we need. Or we can branch out to multiple and create a sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Competition between these smaller states, or we can focus a lot of our efforts into bringing more people to this country and kind of expanding this country's sustainability so they can sustain our supply demand. Right? Now, what a lot of them chose, and it's the reason why competition is such a major part of our economic society nowadays. What a lot of these bigger countries that were trying to get these supplies from these smaller countries would branch out to multiple countries, creating competition and lowering the prices of the supply overall, so they could buy more and sustain all of these countries at the same time. All of these smaller countries at the same time. So these smaller supply countries wouldn't be so destitute, but it would also like be more efficient for the big countries.
Right, but like
they're sacrificing a bit of sustainability for efficiency.
But like you take a country like that, and then you take a country that like where capitalism rose, and that country, that bigger, more prosperous country, kind of like creates workers out of the country that hasn't progressed to that point yet. So their wages are higher because now they're getting a wage. But if you're getting paid like $1 an hour to build an iPhone, and
in a country like China that's not capitalist,
no, but their workers supply international capitalism with those products because that's where they're built.
Yes, that's the flawed idea of the totalitarian socialism in China, because they do allow these slave wages. They do allow this very slavery like ideal. Whereas if we were to convert
I'd say
China into a more capitalistic state, they would institute a higher business tax, which would cause a lot of the businesses to leave China. And the whole reason why China is even somewhat sustainable as a country right now, their economy is even somewhat sustainable, is because of the reason of all of these capitalistic countries realize they can go to China where they can pay slave wages to their workers and get.
Yeah, that's what my point is, though, that like the capitalist countries realizing that they can get away with slavery is bad.
Yes,
and I'm also saying like what you described with China is just another example of why totalitarian communism is a perversion of the actual Marxism, because that it's not supposed to be analogous to slavery in any way. Like that's total opposite of what the idea is.
I mean, but the inherent idea of totalitarianism is to be sacrifice all sustainability for efficiency
and order.
Yeah, which is basically efficiency. Whereas if you have a more capitalist society like ours, yes, we sacrifice a little bit of sustainability for efficiency, but the goal of that efficiency is to create a sustainable government and economy. That's the whole goal of it. We don't want to sacrifice all of the sustainability, but when you have this competition, this is why I think we should try to convert China to a more capitalist society, capitalist economy.
Well, I think they already are going in that direction.
That's the thing. If they try to go too far in that direction, though, they'll just force their businesses out of their country. Because the reason why so many businesses go to China is because lower wage paying workers, less taxes on businesses.
Yeah.
They don't have to pay nearly as many taxes as they would literally anywhere else in the world to taxes, and they don't have to pay as much to any of their workers.
Seems like that's why I think that China is not really socialist, because it's like they're just facilitating more.
They're more
poverty.
They're more totalitarian than they are socialist.
Doesn't make sense at all.
Whereas if you instituted a little bit higher taxes towards businesses, instituted a little bit higher wages towards the workers,
which is more, that's like more socialist, ideally. Like that's what left wingers advocate for in this country.
Yeah, but they're advocating for incredibly high wages and incredibly high taxes.
Not really though. Like the 70% marginal top tax rate, that used to be known as a moderate idea. Like internationally, that's just like a moderate social democrat proposal.
Yeah, but that's because like
We had that in this country.
no, not really. We never had it nearly as high as a 70%.
Top marginal though.
Yeah, top marginal.
She's talking about like every dollar over 10 million.
Yeah, I know. I know. Trust me, I know. I understand her whole proposal there. But
it just seems like most right wingers who condemn it really don't get
what I'm talking about
saying.
with China, and I'm not advocating socialism here. What I'm talking about with China is instead of having like a fucking 70% tax on businesses, I'm talking more like a 25% tax, and you raise the taxes as a punishment to them if they do shitty things.
I mean, they already do that. They already do shitty things.
Yeah. And the reason the reason for that is because China's government lacks all morals.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
They have literally no morals. That's why they're totalitarian. But
isn't it interesting how totalitarianism sort of hides under the guise of morality, though?
Tries to. Then you have business like Google that are helping them.
Well, these corporations don't have morals either. They're not.
Yeah.
That's not their job. Their job is to create profits for
their job is to be efficient
and money making.
The inherent idea of business, and this is why I don't think, and that's another reason why I don't think socialism and business can work together, is the fact that the idea of business is to be efficient. The inherent idea of business is to be as efficient as possible and to get as much profit as possible. Whereas socialism is to be, the inherent idea of it is to be as sustainable as possible, sacrificing efficiency. So businesses can't have to sacrifice efficiency to try to be sustainable, to try to sustain the government through these extremely high taxes, right? But they can't pay these extremely high taxes because they have to sacrifice their efficiency.
But what about the situation where the overproduction leads to the underconsumption in the markets? Like, we have houses and homeless people, and these homeless people could live in these houses, but they can't afford to. Like, the way that our society is structured as far as how it produces things and how it consumes those things doesn't make any sense at all.
Neither would socialism. Would honestly probably be worse.
Are you sure these specific problems would be worse?
Well, think of it this way. With capitalism, you have access to the houses. With socialism and communism, there wouldn't be houses there in the first place.
How? What do you mean?
Because the government would be taking so many of these taxes away from these companies and away from these people. They'd be paying extremely high tax rates, which, don't get me wrong, I think the tax rates in the U.S. right now currently are ridiculous. But fucking these extremely high taxes that you're paying, that these companies are paying out, and that these people are paying out, means that the government is bringing in all this so they can offer all of these free things, but they aren't able to build these houses. So it's relied on the company, but the company is too poor to pay their workers to build these houses because they're paying all these ridiculously high taxes.
Well,
you can't offer free things and then suspect the government to do shit for you. You can't get free things from the government and then expect more free things from the government. And that's exactly what communism does.
Well, like, what if it was a different approach to communism where it was...
What if it was a different approach to it? What if it was a different approach? It's always what you say, Matthew. What if it's a different approach?
No, because that's... You gotta understand, like, there's a lot of ways to go about this.
There's a lot of ways to go about capitalism. We just happen to come up with the most efficient.
I mean, most efficient at what?
At being efficient.
But what's the goal?
To sustain our society.
But that's not what it is, though. Because you really get down to brass tacks, you realize, like, oh, the corporation does not care about the society. The corporation cares about profit.
And the reason the corporation doesn't care about society is because we don't do anything to hold the corporations accountable.
So shouldn't we?
What I'm talking about civilian boycott. like we used to do in like the fucking
Yeah,
revolution.
shouldn't we?
The civilians should try to hold these companies accountable for the shit they're doing through boycotts, through forcing higher tax wages as punishments.
My straw
Good job.
went right in there.
You just suck on that like you're sucking cock, man.
Like I'm sucking tits. Anyway, see, there's a whole different part of this that's more societal, which is really like, I really find this interesting, because this calls right back to the 2016 election. I wrote down that fringe politics arising in the mainstream once again is a consequence of our way of life being in a state of turmoil, and they address the same problems, but one side clings onto an old capitalist way and wishes to restore it, while another side wants to institute an alternative. So you have a candidate who represents the status quo, Hillary Clinton. You have a candidate who represents the right populism, which is Donald Trump. And then you have a candidate who represents the left populism, which is Bernie Sanders. So what happened was, because the status quo isn't working out for people right now, and the status quo screwed over the left-wing alternative, a lot of people who would have gone for that went for the right-wing one because they just could not support the current system, which is what Hillary represented. She didn't have any call to arms. She didn't have any mantra besides "stronger together," which is just an identity politics pandering statement. Like, that's not. Well, she didn't say anything about actually changing people's lives for the better.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump did. Donald Trump's slogan was literally "Make America Great Again," and a lot of people really fell for that.
MAGA.
Exactly.
But and that's the thing. And the reason why Bernie never would like win in that situation, and
the polls,
is because
and the stats all said that he could beat Trump, though. Bernie Sanders is the most popular politician in the
Here's
US.
the thing, and I'm having the actual explanation for this that you're gonna fucking hate. But this is the actual explanation for it.
I hope it doesn't make sense.
It does. Basically, what always happens, and what Hillary did to Bernie was Hillary bought off people. She bought off superdelegates. She bought off.
No, the whole DNC was in her hands.
Yeah, she bought off these superdelegates
because she was their darling candidate.
Yeah.
It was this stupid fucking political entitlement where she's like, "It's my turn now," so they all just bowed down, because that's how Democrats nowadays work. It's a party of corruption.
She even bought off a lot of the right superdelegates.
Of course.
She bought off all. She literally bought the system.
Of course. Also,
and that's why Bernie would never win.
The Republicans don't do superdelegates. It's only Democrats.
Yeah.
Which is,
well, she still bought off the right wing support over Bernie.
Oh yeah, well yeah, Hillary Clinton's bought and sold. It's common knowledge.
And that's the thing. If you really think about it, when you have somebody like Bernie who is proposing these extremely high taxes on the rich, right?
Yeah, the millionaires and billionaires.
You'll have these millionaires and the billionaires.
The top 1% needs to pay their fair share in taxation.
And the top 1%, instead of having to pay these massive taxes that will probably bankrupt them over the next 50 years.
I wouldn't say so.
Instead, they're like, you know what? We're going to buy off some of the people to vote for us. That's exactly what they would have done. They would have bought off people. They would literally.
You think Bernie would buy people off?
No.
No?
I feel like Bernie holds himself too morally high to do that.
Well, yeah, because Bernie Sanders' whole thing is that he doesn't take corporate money. That's what the progressive wing of the Democrats' like whole mantra is, like money out. But
that's the thing. That's why they're never going to win in a political.
Are you sure? Because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez won against a Democratic incumbent with the money on his side. So I feel like the same thing could happen.
That's also no. There's a huge difference. That's a senator versus a president. When you have something as important as the executive branch, honestly, and as important as the presidency, who, especially when there's a president that's proposing extremely high taxes on the 1%, the 1% is going to be like, yo, we got to make sure this fucking doesn't happen. And they'll pay off, honestly, they'll probably pay off a different left-wing candidate.
So you think they would do anything at all costs to defeat Bernie, even if they let him win the primary?
No, I'm talking about they won't even let him win the primary.
That's what happened though.
I'm talking about if Bernie runs again,
Which
in
is
2020?
projected to do.
Basically the rich people are going to be like, yo, we're going to pay off all these super delegates to make sure Bernie doesn't win.
But the good part is Bernie's not the only real progressive in the race this time. And I mean, we could really talk about this.
Who else is running on the left? Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, a lot. Elizabeth Warren's running. Tulsi's running. Tulsi Gabbard.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see people vote Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
And as the
Tulsi Gabbard's
Democratic
running.
candidate.
Who else?
I would not be surprised that if Bernie runs against Elizabeth Warren will win. And there's a couple of reasons why I think that. And honestly, I think part of it is the fact that I think Elizabeth Warren will play off the thing that Hillary played off, that she's a woman, that she has the chance of becoming the first woman president.
Are you sure that she would be that non-substantive? Because when she speaks about things and when she gives speeches, she's very substantive about it. She really cares about the issues, not really the identity.
Yeah, but I think to beat Bernie, I think to win the primary, she would play off it. She would play off her complexion. She wouldn't come out and say it, but she would like subtly play off the fact that she's a girl. She would use her complexion to win the primaries, and then she would try to use her policy to win the presidency.
Which I think is kind of a smart strategy to do, right? Like,
yeah, don't get me wrong, it is a pretty good strategy.
Because then she could like snake in her real leftism past the DNC, so they wouldn't even really like think of her as that much of a threat to their corporate politics. So they wouldn't rig it against her.
Not a real left.
She is a real leftist.
I don't think so.
She's just a capitalist. She's a social democrat all the way.
No, she's not.
What do you mean?
She's definitely a corporatist democrat.
But she doesn't take any corporate money though. Yeah,
she's playing off that so she can get the real left.
Oh, you don't trust Elizabeth Warren either?
No.
Damn, dude. I did. Like, I think she's the second best to Bernie.
I think Elizabeth Warren is very similar to Hillary.
Are you sure?
Yes. I don't know. I think they both would be very supportive of the corporate left.
I don't know if you really like.
I've watched a lot of Elizabeth Warren.
Really? You really think you're suspicious of that?
I think she's playing off the. I think she's realizing that the young people, the young voters, are leaning more towards the socialist left, so she's going to play off it to beat Bernie.
Do you think it's all fake?
Yes.
Because she literally called for like no Democratic candidate should take super PAC money. Like that's literally what she said. She's like, none of us.
Yeah.
Even fucking Kirsten Gillibrand and Kamala Harris and Cory Booker, who are the three most corporate candidates next to Joe Biden in the Democratic race this time.
I definitely think she's just playing off it. Because she realized a lot of the young vote's going to be socialist.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, it is.
But she's been consistent through her career, though, as far as I can tell.
I don't think so. I think she's done a lot of shit with Hillary. Also, the fact that she lied about her
yeah, that was a whole fiasco.
Native American background is another reason why nobody should trust her. People complain about Trump lying when Elizabeth Warren lies just as much.
But Trump is the sitting president. So it's like he's held to a higher standard.
Yeah, but Elizabeth Warren might be the next sitting president.
That is true.
Let's be honest here. I don't think I think a person on the left could win the presidency. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think it's going to be Bernie. I really don't think the 1% will let Bernie win the primary.
Well, they've got a lot of corporatists in the race already. They've got Cory Booker, who's terrible. They've got Kamala Harris, who's a cop. They've got Kirsten Gillibrand, who's also kind of almost as terrible as Cory Booker is. They've got Joe Biden. They've got Bloomberg. Okay, Bloomberg is awful. He said that legalizing marijuana was one of the dumbest things anyone has ever done. I'm never going to vote for Bloomberg for anything. Who else? Oh, that his name starts with an 8. Oh, no, it doesn't. Yeah, it does. Howard Schultz, who's a millionaire.
I really want to see Jesse Ventura one.
Dude, Jesse Ventura running like as an independent for the presidency and then beating everybody would be like the most badass thing in the world.
I feel like the only way Jesse Ventura would honestly win though is if he ran for the left.
If he ran as a Democrat?
Yeah.
But he describes himself as like a Goldwater conservative, like he's a libertarian.
Yeah, but he also realizes he's also smart enough to realize that he's not going to beat Trump as the incumbent, so he'd run on the left.
Are you sure he wouldn't beat Trump in the Republican primary? Because he could give Trump his shit right back at him.
Let's be honest here. The Republicans always vote for their incumbent.
Yeah.
The Republican. I don't think there's ever been a Republican incumbent that the Republican Senate has not voted for.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Is
Here.
that not both sides though?
No, the leftists voted against their incumbent a couple times.
I mean, it just seems like the last few presidents have had both terms. Obama, Bush, Bill Clinton until he got impeached, right? Was that in his second term?
No, I thought that was in his first term. I thought it was late into his first. But like, yeah, really, I
Richard Ojeda, who's from West Virginia, who's like a really anti-corpus guy, was running, but then he dropped out of the race. So like, there's not many real left choices actually. There's just more than there was last time because it was just Bernie last time, and because Democrats just. The Democratic Party is in dysfunction right now, to put it lightly.
I mean, honestly, I think if we start seeing some of like the better Republicans running,
which is who?
Like I would like to see Jeb Bush run again.
Well, Jeb Bush isn't really one of the better Republicans. Like as a candidate, he's weak as hell. He's not.
No, he's
at all.
not. He could play off his dad dying. Hardcore.
But Trump ripped him a new one, and he would just do it again.
No, he wouldn't.
Are you sure?
After Jeb Bush got ripped a new one by Trump, he would be like, he would send his shit right back at Trump.
But Jeb Bush,
especially if Trump went after the fact that his dad was dead, fucking Jeb Bush would kill Trump. He would destroy Trump.
I don't know. Jeb Bush gives off to me like I don't want to.
He's a worrisome Republican. Don't get me wrong.
He's like a bitch though. Like he's like snivelly. Like he's
yes, not, but if he plays off the fact that his father died, and if he plays off the fact that like he can be a strong person because of it, he definitely will get the Republican.
I don't think he will. I don't even think he'll run again.
I'd like to see Jeb Bush run again because I think he'd be better than his brother. I don't know if he'd be better than his father.
I think he'd be better than his brother too, because it's a low bar. But who else would you? Just as a side little note here, who else would you want to run as a Republican?
Shit, that's tough.
Rand Paul again?
No.
See, all the Republicans I know of, Rand Paul's like one of my favorites.
I wouldn't want to see Ted Cruz run again.
No, me neither.
I wouldn't want to see Marco Rubio. Honestly, I would not be surprised if Ben Carson tried running again.
Really? Even though he fell right in line with the Trump administration.
I really think that like Ben Carson will resign right before the end of Trump's first term and run against him. And I think Ben Carson could win this time, honestly, after seeing how Trump seeing how like all of the controversy the Trump administration has been through just through its first term.
Oh yeah,
I definitely.
It never ends. The constant 24-hour news cycle just keeps repeating it.
But I'd like to see Ben Carson run.
Yeah,
because I think he honestly I think he's one of the better Republican candidates. I really do. Even though he's like, my take on Ben Carson is he's just really dumb on anything except for brain surgery. Like he's really not really. I mean, he's daft. Like he said that the pyramids were built to store grain or something. You sure that was? Yes, Carson. That was him. And also, he's sleepy. Like he's not interesting to listen to. A lot of the shit he said about like the Holocaust and shit was very accurate. Well, what I didn't even know about that. What did he say about the Holocaust? Like he talks about like a lot of the shit the Jews went through, and he relates it to his fucking party. He relates it to his run, like his. You know what I'm talking about. He talks about the Holocaust. He's talked about the Holocaust a couple times. He went on one of the more democratic talk shows, like one of the more liberal talk shows, and talked about it. I know that. I think it was the one with Whoopi Goldberg. Are you talking about The View? Yeah, I hate The View. That's a show for corporate liberals to watch, and let's be honest, most of the Democratic Party is corporate. Yeah, exactly why I thought it was a good idea. But yeah, I think Ben Carson definitely does have some good ideas. Don't get me wrong. He says some stupid shit, but everybody says some stupid shit. I mean, look at all the stupid shit Trump said throughout the election, and he still won. Yeah, I'm not saying he couldn't win because he's stupid. That's obviously not true. But I'm saying that he'd be a bad president. I don't think so. But I'm trying to think of other Republican fucking politicians off the top of my head.
Yeah, like who that didn't already run? Because the presidential rate, the
I'm
primary
thinking,
for the
dude.
Republican side last time was massive. There was like 30 of them at the start.
I'm actually gonna look up like Republican congressmen because I know I'll notice the names if I look up like the congressman. I'll know who they are.
Yeah,
I just can't think of the names off the top of my head.
even Mike Huckabee and John Kasich ran last time, and they're like the most like boring, like
Yeah.
middle of the road people.
I feel like definitely if the Republicans are going to put in a different candidate that's going to win, it's going to be somebody who's more like economics based because the economy is kind of in decline right now. But you know who I think would be interesting to see run again?
Who?
Mitt Romney.
You think he'd have a shot?
Yes, really, I do, because I think he'd be able to play off the whole. He'd be able to play off the whole Trump thing, Trump businessman thing.
Like I'm a better businessman than
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
He straight up would be able to
Yeah.
just say to Trump's face, "I'm a better businessman and a better politician," because he is.
Yeah, I mean, Trump never held an office before.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shit. You know who I feel like would be really funny to see run?
Who?
Ben Shapiro.
If Ben Shapiro ran for president, he might
win.
beat Trump. Yeah.
He might win.
Just by sheer meme power. And all these people turning 18 right now, like the Generation Z right wingers, would all vote for Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Like
straight up.
That being said, Ben Shapiro running our country would piss me off so much. I'd be making like video after video, like Ben Shapiro did this. This is why this is bad.
Honestly,
I'd just radicalize, dude. I'd react. Like,
honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Jeff Sessions ran against Trump.
Jeff Sessions could not win against Trump.
I think he could take away some of Trump's vote, though.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think he could. I think he could just play off the meme power.
I think you really underestimate Trump, though.
No, I don't. I realize, like, as a right winger, I don't like Trump. I really don't. I'm not a Trump fan. I think a lot of the shit he's done is kind of stupid.
But he's really good at just being an asshole at debates and just making people just
collapse. Don't get me wrong. I think Jeff Sessions, and that's also a reason why I want Mitt Romney to run, because I think Mitt Romney could make a good Republican president. I really think he could. Like, I think
Mitt Romney's a piece of shit. That's my take.
Don't get me wrong. I think almost every politician's a piece of shit.
Uh-huh.
Let's be honest here. But look, honestly, half the reason why Barack Obama beat Mitt Romney was because he was black. Let's be honest here. He won that race because of his complexion.
I wouldn't say it was just that. I think that's a little bit of a surface level reading. I think that
on top of that, Obama called him like racist and shit, a bunch of other shit.
Of course he did, though. Like, identity politics is one of the things that the Democrats go to.
That's why I fucking hate Obama. Because honestly, I really would have preferred Mitt Romney over Obama. I really would.
I have an issue with that. I have a big glaring issue with that. I don't think that.
I thought Obama was a terrible president.
I don't think that.
I think he was one of the worst left-wing presidents we've ever had.
I don't even think he was that left-wing, but I don't think that the gay marriage would have been legalized under Mitt Romney.
Yeah, I could see that happening,
and that's a pretty bad thing.
But I don't know. I feel like one of the reasons why I like Mitt Romney, and I know you're kind of gonna fucking hate me for saying this, but like one of the reasons why I like Mitt Romney is the fact that he still has that strong, like, roguish idealism of Trump, like stature and look of Trump.
He has the alpha male appearance.
He has that look that Trump has, like the alpha male appearance.
But I think Trump is a bigger daddy than Mitt Romney.
I don't know. On top of that, though, he is definitely more moderate and smarter with this presidency. He'd be smarter with this presidency.
That's a low bar, dude. Like, moderate and smart is like Trump's weakest points. He's not moderate or smart at all.
and I think that's exactly what the Republican Party wants. I think they want a realistic politician who is a bit more moderate.
Maybe the old guard wants that, but like all the people who Trump radicalized and politicized in 2016 in that race, I don't think they want that. I think they want what Trump is.
Half the reason that Trump won is because the rich people wanted him to.
The rich people wanted Hillary to win.
No, the rich people wanted Trump to win. He was a businessman. They thought he was going to promote the economy.
Oh, you mean the voters, not like the system? Because the system wanted Hillary.
The system wanted Hillary.
Yeah.
Actually, I know. I wouldn't even say that because Hillary won the popular vote.
Oh yeah, dude. Analyzing this election gets so like complicated. Like you really gotta take everything into account.
Like the rich Republican senators who had control of the House at that time wanted Trump because he thought he'd make them richer. That's why they wanted Trump. He was a businessman. He was not a politician.
This is accurate. Yeah.
The Republican Senate and the Republican Congress wanted Trump because he was a businessman. And he knew that they would probably make more money under him. And they knew that he'd probably try to promote the economy a bit more, which he has. He's done some good things for the economy, and I will give him that. He lowered unemployment for a little bit. He had unemployment lowered for a little bit there, and then he started talking about the wall, which kind of sucked. But
well, I think he saw his job in his role in fixing the economy as finished, and that's why he went to the wall.
I think he wasn't though.
I think he thought he was.
I feel like Trump would have been a significantly better president if, like, after he won the presidency with the whole wall thing, he just kind of disregarded it completely. Because the only reason
I would have loved if he did that, yeah, because then the government shutdown never would have happened, and
Nancy Pelosi wouldn't have hated him.
I mean, how much does she hate him though?
She definitely hates him a lot.
I feel like that's just politics, and they all kind of agree with each other.
Like,
Nancy Pelosi is not the friend of the left at all.
Yeah, how does it feel that your guys' Speaker of the House is not like that? She's like so like centrist. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good because like the reason why she's in the job is because she's a good fundraiser, and what that means is she's good at getting bribes to run campaigns.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Nancy Pelosi run. Really wouldn't. I can see her running as a Republican, for fuck's sake.
I don't think she will. I think she's okay where she's at.
I also think what's his face? I want to say Ben. What is it, Schumer? Something?
It's Chuck Schumer.
Oh, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was thinking Ben.
Chuck Schumer with his shit face.
I think Chuck Schumer will run.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because of all the publicity he's been getting.
Maybe he might try to, but I really like he would never win.
I think I think he'd be up there. I think he'd probably take like third place.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Joe Biden would take third place.
I think Joe Biden will take second place.
Hmm.
Or first. Honestly, it would not be.
Joe Biden shooting himself in the foot by being so centrist, though. Like, that's not what the left wants right now.
It's not what the young left wants. It's what the old left wants.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm. Because
once all those people die, dude, the Democratic Party is probably just going to rename itself to like the Democratic Socialist Party of America.
The reason Ocasio-Cortez won. The reason Ocasio-Cortez won is because, like, what state is she from?
New York.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, think of fucking New York. Most of New York is young fucking Democrats anyway.
Yeah. It's
the reason Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez won is because none of the old Democrats were in New York.
I think New York is the second bluest state next to California, I think, right? That makes sense.
I don't know. It has a lot of underlying Republican themes.
True, because like that's where Wall Street is.
Yeah.
But we've veered off so much, and I really need to piss right now.
So go piss.
You can spread your capitalist propaganda.
I'm not going to spread capitalist propaganda.
Like I spread socialist propaganda while you're gone, but
I'll probably think of who else is probably going to run for the Republican Party.
And then we really need to get back to the topic at hand for the rest of the episode.
Maybe.
Because I really want to put Marx to bed so we can talk about other shit.
Yeah. I hope y'all never fall for Marxism. Marxist socialism is just bad. It's a bad idea, inherently. But, like, it just won't work. It will fall apart and will cause the economy to fall apart, which will then lead to the government falling apart. And we'll end up like Venezuela or the Soviet Union or every other place that's ever tried socialism ever. Yeah. Like, legitimately, if y'all look up the idea of socialism. If you look at countries that have been socialist or communist, you will, and you like look into detail on them, all of them have, everyone that's ever tried has fallen apart. Either through war or through just failed economy. And it would lead to new revolutions. But like just doesn't work.
Ooh, the free market is coming.
What? Ooh, the free market is coming.
Welcome back to your mom. All right. Who else you want to run? And then we'll get right back in and then we'll wrap it up.
Honestly, I really want to see Romney run again.
Yeah.
Like he is my number one Republican candidate. I really would like to see him run.
Is he like your favorite of politicians sitting now?
I don't know. I don't want to say that. Like, I think what he's done for Massachusetts is really good.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this. So.
Like he brought down the unemployment rate astronomically in Massachusetts, and he boosted up their economy ridiculously. And it's the reason why Mass is such kind of a powerful state.
Powerful Mass.
He also plays off the patriotism role really well, seeing how he's a vet. I think that's another reason why the Republicans love him too. He's a vet. He's a veteran.
We have a veteran running. We have Tulsi running.
He's a veteran. He's a businessman, and he's an experienced politician. 3 things that are great for his for the election, and great things that make a good 3 great things for a Republican candidate, and 3 great things for the country overall. Because let's be honest, the economy is depleting now. We need if the Republicans want to gain control of the House again, we need a new strong figure that's not Trump. Let's be honest. And if we're really thinking about it, we need having a veteran as president would be great for the Republican Party. Mainly because it'd push against gun control very well.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, people would call me right wing if all they knew about me was my gun stance, because I'm all for the Second Amendment rights thing, 100%. Arm the people. Yeah, there's like, yeah, all right. What else is there to get into?
I get the feeling we're not going to cover this whole thing in this episode.
We will.
Because we're 47 minutes
in. We'll go up longer than an hour if we have to.
Hit me.
So this is just like a neutral point, kind of. Capitalists and socialists are both trying to evaluate the mistakes of their respective past and eventually get into a place that works. Democratic socialism or social democracy is a prime example of this.
Democratic socialism
isn't social democracy, but it's closer to capitalism than other forms of socialism are.
Yeah, but if you really think about it, democratic socialist.
I honestly think that.
And then Nicolas Maduro. Cooed.
As far as I can see, there's countries that are in I can't name them, but like I read an article about this from a Venezuelan citizen that was basically saying the socialist government is not the reason why our people are suffering. It's corruption and other forms of greed, and basically.
But it is the socialist government.
No, but it's a socialist government making bad decisions that any kind of government could have made, though. Because what this person was saying was that there are other socialist governments in Central America that are not in this shitty situation.
Yeah, that's because they're run by. It's because most of the money they're bringing in is through drug cartels. Like Cuba. So a government shouldn't be run by drug cartels.
Well, it's not run by them; they're funded by them.
Basically run by.
And I have never even seen
I'm pretty sure
anything
like
about their funding, but
I'm
like,
pretty sure like at least a half of Cuba's politicians were like worked for fucking what's his face.
Castro,
Yeah. No, not Castro. Fucking major drug lord.
El Chapo.
No.
No,
Maybe.
the Colombian dude,
Yeah, I think so.
Pablo Escobar. Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the Cuban politicians, I guarantee, work for Pablo Escobar at some point.
But they also worked for Castro because Castro,
Yeah,
dictator.
Pablo Escobar worked with
Castro. Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The only thing close to socialism or communism that's working in Central America is Cuba, and it's because half of their politicians are still drug cartel members or ex-drug cartel members.
I really
and
have
like
an
half
issue.
of their money is from drug cartels.
I really have an issue with this like stance of just like socialism doesn't work. Period. Like, it's just like enraging.
I never
Yeah,
said
but that's
that.
like the stance that you argue from.
I like I've said before, I think in a small society, a small country,
Yeah, you always said like 5 people, communism, great. Like,
honestly, even like 500 people, communism works. I would be even willing to say like maybe even 5,000.
man, I would join a little state of 500 that was communist just to like live as a communist every day. Like Charlie said, I live as a capitalist every day, and then I could say that right back at him. But
like yeah, I'd be even willing to say like 5,000, a society of 5,000 could have a social society, and it could work. Don't get me wrong, it could work. But when you get to the big societies like the US, and that's where I argue against socialism, because the US has literally millions upon millions of people in it.
yeah,
all of them relying on
actually billions, right?
no, we don't.
No, 300 million. Yeah.
We have literally hundreds of millions of people.
For some reason, I thought it was 3 billion, but
No. And if we all had to vote over fucking everything.
Okay, so like
work.
absolute democracy, socialism.
And basically, you have two major choices when it comes to socialism. And I don't think you could get an in between with it. You either have pure democratic socialism, which is pure democracy and socialism.
It's like Giannis Varoufakis.
Or you have totalitarian socialism.
Mm.
Both of them are pretty shitty choices for America. My goal is not to eradicate socialism. My goal is to eradicate socialism from the US.
Good luck, because it's on the rise.
Yeah, I know.
Its favorability is on the rise.
It's a bad idea.
I don't know.
It's a bad idea in
the
the US.
It's the future.
If you want to live in a communist or socialist society, move out of Portugal.
I don't want to move to Portugal.
Because Portugal could probably sustain a fucking socialist government. It probably could. Let's be honest here. It probably could. I feel like if fucking Portugal came out as like socialist, like came out of the closet socialists, a lot of the fucking people in Portugal would leave. Then you like, the fucking just immediately move to Portugal.
President, let's just pack up and go there. Like, let's just stage the revolution in Portugal, guys.
Like, don't get me wrong. I think, as a libertarian, and I'm kind of a crazy libertarian, I'll admit that.
I'm sorry.
I think that if people want to try to govern themselves in a different way, a smaller society, they should be able to sign something with the government, basically saying we're going to establish this bit of land.
Okay.
And like if they paid for it,
so we should secede.
If they paid for the land, they should just be able they should be able to choose to secede from the government.
I think the U.S. government would be like, "Oh no, bitch, we're gonna nuke your ass," and then just send drones at us.
But I mean, if like you bought like a fucking town,
yeah,
you spent like
I bought a town.
like if you wanted fucking Rumford to become socialist, or you were like, you know what, I'm gonna buy Rumford. You spent like I don't know how much do you think Rumford would cost? Like
Not
$30
much for
million
a
dollars?
town. Not much for a town.
Like $30 million. I'm guessing. You spent that $30 million to buy Rumford. You could set up a socialist government
Yeah.
and economy in Rumford. Go the fuck ahead. I feel like the government should allow that. You sign this contract saying you're seceding from the government and that you're not going to be you're not going to take or fucking you're not going to pay any taxes, but you're also not going to get any fucking help from the U.S. through it. You should be able. If you can sustain yourself, you should be able to do it.
Let's just make the new USSR, United Socialist Society of Rumford.
But when you inevitably fail, if you need a capitalist leader, I'll be here.
If we need some help from big money.
Not big money.
Capitalism is though. It's just excess money. But don't you think, like, back to what I said before, like social democracy is like it's like a fusion plan. That's the whole point. It's like trying to meet at a middle point that is hopefully a better outcome than.
So you're talking about we should be centrist. So you're
I'm saying like
we should be economically centrist?
Between the two extremist poles of socialism and capitalism.
We are that.
But I'm saying center left of that.
No. Because center is socialism.
No, it's social democracy.
It's, I would.
You can't have socialism if capitalists still
say,
own shit.
I'd be willing to say a quarter. I'd be willing to say a quarter left. I would not be able to say a half left. A quarter left, maybe.
That's what I mean.
Center left is half left.
I don't mean center of the left. I mean towards the center, but left of it.
Like a little bit left. That's like say there's like 10 squares. 10 squares, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying we should go like 2 left?
Yeah, or 3. Maybe.
I would not go 3.
Or let's say
I'd
4.
I'd be willing to say 1.
Let's say 7. Huh? No. Anyway,
I'd be willing to say 1 left. I'd be okay with 1 left. 2 is sketchy. 3 definitely not.
That's a lot of.
2 is sketchy to me. I don't like 2. I'd be okay with 1. 2 is sketchy. I like where we are right now, which is like center right.
You like where we're at right now?
Well, I like not like as it is right now, but I like where the economy is sitting on the political scale, which is center right.
You like neoliberalism?
I wish it was kind of more liberal.
Yeah, so do I. At the very least.
Like, definitely, I think it should be more libertarian. We are too authoritarian of an economy right now. I think it should be like 2 to the right, 3 down, or 4 down.
Oh, you want it more? You want more capitalism than we have now?
We have like one right, don't we? 1 or 2 right.
I don't know, because like the way I see it, from my perspective, we live in a corporatist world, which is pretty right wing.
We're not an authoritarian society. We're not. Gay marriage. We're not an authoritarian society.
I think gay marriage should be legal everywhere. Like, that's just a default. Like,
it wasn't legal in the USSR.
Yeah, but that's you gotta.
Isn't legal in Venezuela.
But you gotta remember, I don't support them. I'm not for their way.
Fuck's sake. I'm pretty sure America was one of the leading gay marriage countries.
In other places before we did it.
Yeah, but we're the first major country to do it.
Really?
Yeah. Then Britain followed us.
Did Australia beat us to it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think they came after too. But
we were one of the leaders.
Which, I mean, how far, like, I feel how far in the past should that have happened? Like,
honestly, I mean, you also got to take into account politics is purely like politics has always been, or democracy has always been the will of the people. And you can't trust the will of the people to always be morally right.
Well, that's what it's supposed to be optimally. Yeah, it's the idea.
But you also have to take in the real world account that humans aren't moral people, aren't moral beings.
Well, no, you can't account for morality.
For morality, that's the.
I'm saying like you can't assume people are going to vote in a moral way.
And that's the inherent problem of democracy. Everything has inherent problems. Nothing is perfect, Matthew. You want perfection.
I do.
Not
I'm a perfectionist.
Perfection is not real.
But it doesn't matter if it's realistic or not to me.
Yes, it does.
Because I'm an idealist, hardcore. I'm a Pisces,
and that's why you're wrong half the time. You try to idealize the perfect society, and then often you come up with like the least perfect idea.
I'm like a Pisces Virgo, I think, or like a Pisces Leo. I don't know.
Dude, I don't even fucking know what you're talking about.
My personality test.
Yeah, I don't believe that whatever it is, fucking, I don't know, constellation has anything to do with your personality.
No, I don't either. I'm just like, I'm making a quiz.
I'm fucking retarded.
You're gonna take it. You're gonna take my quiz, Nick.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
You have to, so I know what you are.
I can tell you what constellation I am.
I know you're Capricorn.
I don't even know what those fucking are called, horoscopes or some shit.
Zodiac signs.
I just call them constellations.
It's astrology, that's the word. But they are constellations too. That's actually what they are. But
Capricorn's one of the weird ones.
Capricorn is like people who get shit done.
Me. I'm a person who gets shit done because I'm a realist, not a fucking idealist.
God damn.
Realists get shit done. Idealists dream. Why socialisms never work? Because socialism is the idealism of dreamers. Capitalism is the idealism of idealistic people. Capitalism is the idealism of nihilism. It's nihilism put in the economics.
Capitalism is economic nihilism. Is that what you said?
Yes. Mainly because
I think it's more than that.
Capitalism is economic like cosmic pessimism because it can be really, really fucking shitty, but you're making the best out of that shittiness.
Okay.
All economic ideas are really shitty, but capitalism is the best out of that shitty.
But I'd say that's kind of like a cop-out thing that capitalism hinges on, is this idea like everything's shitty, but this is the best we have. I think they're wrong when they say that. I think they're only saying that to maintain the status quo.
I don't think so.
And also because they're secretly afraid of any alternative that would be better.
I don't get me wrong. If we could come up with an economic system that's better than both communism and capitalism, I would be all fucking for it.
Which is the goal of the modern people on both sides in some cases.
Don't get me wrong. I kind of want to sit down with a group of economists.
Yeah.
And like have like
and work it out.
And like have like a bunch of like and get like a group of extremist left people that represent the
whole economists and right economists.
Extreme rightist.
Because they both exist.
Extreme right economists.
It's not like the field of economy is ran by the right wing. That's false.
Yeah. Like, and that's what I want to say. I want to get an extremist group from the whole spectrum on the right, and an extremist group from the whole spectrum on the left, and then get like a centrist from both sides, on going up and down.
Whole spectrum.
And I want to have a group of economists. Like, I kind of just want to pick out ideas that I think are best after hearing every single one of them, and then we could bunch all of this into an economy.
I would definitely, I'd do that with you.
And I want to have somebody on the left there with me, so I can take into account that not all things on the right are right. I gotta piss. I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll
stop spreading communist crap.
I'll let everybody know why Stalin is my dad. Nick drank all his drink already, and I haven't even drank. I drank like 3/4 of mine. what we've learned today is that capitalists are gluttons. I have like all these notes about like socialism, not private ownership, and the society owns the factories, offices, and stores so that one tyrant like the government does not control the people but is the instrument of the people, okay? And that's another feature of absolute democracy. Everybody controls everything. That's also related to anarcho-communism and the ideas of Kropotkin, which is there is no ownership. Ownership is a myth because it's everything we have is the product of everything that all the work that went into everything that we have in the past and all the work that goes into maintaining it in the present. Therefore, who are you to say that this is yours and not mine? Because the labor value of the whole society, the whole species is not quantifiable, okay?
What were you talking about?
I was talking about like anarcho-communism.
Communism sounds terrible, man. So what else have you got for me to like tear apart?
Or to veer from. Well, I just told them the other part, which basically is it's kind of the not real communism argument. Socialism is the collective, not private ownership of the means of production. The society owns the factories, offices, and stores so that one tyrant like the government does not control the people but is the instrument of the people.
So it's pure democracy.
Yes.
I've explained the problem with pure democracy.
Because it turns into a bureaucracy.
Yes.
But boards of electors are organizations of shareholders. Their democracy is a scam. This is not unlike the political system itself. Capitalism is exploitative, according to Marx. Wealth isn't earned in the capitalist system. Wealth is produced by those who produce more than they get for those who get more than they produce. Okay, and that's the theory about like
repeat what you just said.
Wealth is not earned in the capitalist system. Wealth is produced by those who produce more than they get for those who get more than they produce. So the worker works for the boss takes the lion's share and then gives the worker a wage, which is a small amount of the work that they did. And the Marxist critique of this is that that's actually exploitation and wage slavery. So the ideal thing would be you work without a boss and you enjoy the fruits of all your labor.
So it's survival of the fittest.
What is?
You work without a boss, so you work without the company, and then
or you work in a company that everybody who works there owns.
That makes no sense.
No, these exist. That's a thing people do.
Workers unions?
No,
unions still
no.
managers.
What is the word? What is it called?
You need to have somebody to manage it.
Everybody manages it.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it does though. These companies work. They're small, but they work. It's like
if you have
there's a word for this.
If you try to create a company where everybody works for themselves, it's not a company.
No, they don't work for themselves. I'm saying like everybody owns it together.
And it's not realistic though. You don't take in the corruption of humanity.
Yeah, but this happens. Like, what's the word?
Yeah, and you know what happens when that happens? One of the greedy fuckers takes more of the wage than he's earned. Like, takes more wage from the other people. Because you need to have somebody who manages the wages.
Why do you need to have somebody who manages the wages? Why can't everybody just like work split it evenly?
Because people are going to, the greed of the people will make it so they'll keep some extra that they earned that they don't want to give away.
What the fuck is this called? Oh my god, whatever.
Equalism?
No, it's not employee owned. It's like something to do with partnership, like collective something. I don't know.
Collectivism?
No, it's not an ism. It's a name for a type of company.
A collective?
No, it's like
Corporation.
oh, it's not a word. It's a term. There's more than one word.
A CCL.
What does that stand for?
I'm pretty sure, like,
I think you mean LLC, dude.
yeah, you know what I mean.
No, not that. It's like, oh, what? I'm not gonna think of it. Another claim of the Marxists and Karl Marx himself is that there's no moral or ethical explanation against the redistribution of wealth.
What?
There's no moral or ethical justification for wealth to not be redistributed. That's the Marxist. That's
There's no moral justification for the redistribution of currency.
No, there's no argument against that. That's moral and ethical. Against redistribution of wealth.
There's no moral or justified argument against the redistribution of. I mean, morality is not always the important thing, though.
I thought you were going to say there is a moral argument against it.
I mean,
you can't kill
is.
that guy and take his money.
There probably
which would be a valid point to make.
But it's also very a socialist point to make. If you really think about it, there is a very moral argument to it. But I'm also going to point out the fact that not always morality is the most important thing. Because if you base a company off of morality instead of efficiency, the company is going to fall apart. It's calling me. Oh. Okay. Bye. Oh, gotta pick me up in like a couple minutes.
All right. Well, the other notes I had were just for myself. It was just like this page is all just talking about different types of socialism,
but
which we've already
as I was saying, morality. If you base something like a government or a company purely on morality versus efficiency, then it's inherently going to fall apart because morals aren't always the important thing. Being morally right is not as good as being factually right.
Yeah, I mean,
against the words of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez,
unless
I'd rather be factually right than morally.
But in some cases, that would be a bad plan.
Not really.
Like some freak scenario.
Why are you booing me? I'm right.
Because I'm just saying, like, these absolutes they don't always work. Especially when it comes
communism inherently is an absolute. It's an absolute one way or it's an absolute the other. There's no argument against that.
What do you mean?
There is no argument against that. You either have.
Well, I don't even know what you mean when you say that.
You either have totalitarian communism or you have purely democratic socialism. Those are the two extremes, and there's nothing in between that has ever worked. Because when you try to put them in between, you fail to take into account the corruption of the people, the corruption of humanity, who is inherently going to take apart the system if you try to put them in between.
But capitalism just like boosts the greed of the humans. It just rewards you for it.
I'd rather be rewarded for my greed than destroy society through my greed.
But you do, though.
No, I don't.
By being in the system that's rewarding it, like, doesn't that society deserve to be destroyed?
No.
A society that rewards greed?
And
on a really fundamental level, I'd say yes.
In a non-corporatist economy, in a non-corporatist capitalistic economy, you aren't rewarded for your greed. It just recognizes that greed is a thing. And it's going to happen.
You mean a non-corporatist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a non-corporatist capitalistic society, you're not rewarded for your greed. It just takes into account that greed is a thing, and that if somebody is extremely greedy, it's not going to destroy society.
But
that's what it will do in communism. Because greed breeds totalitarianism in communism.
Yeah. I would say that
That's inherent.
I would say that the specific examples of communism that this happens in are sort of just like hypocrites instantiating it. Like I think that Lenin and Stalin and their ilk all had a specific form of sort of power greed for power, where they would say like, you see what I'm saying? It's like they create a society that condemns greed, but also rewards their specific form of greed. Like I'm really critical of the more authoritarian left wingers because like it seems to me like they use their values to mask their absolute contradiction of those values. You know?
Yeah. Well, I think we should close this up.
All right. When are you gonna make your other? You said you're gonna make another musing.
I don't know yet. You have time.
Definitely should because I want to keep uploading this channel.
You want to pick it apart?
I mean, not necessarily. I
don't know if my next musing is going to be an economic musing or not.
It can be about anything.
I might like talk about the upcoming election.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna do the same. Once we get further into the race,
like preferred right wing candidates. Maybe I should do preferred right wing candidates, and you should do preferred left wing.
Yeah, I was gonna rank them.
and then maybe we could critique each other's candidates. And another economic musing, that'd be cool. But yeah.
Goodbye.
See ya.